Hello, everybody. This is Mansoor Mirza. Once again, I am joining all of my Facebook family and friends. Uh, Once again, on this my Sunday live Facebook series, which mainly talk about the COVID-19 and its effect on real estate market, where I bring experts from different areas, lawyers, political leadership of our community, and local leadership, uh, where I get a chance to explain what is happening in our real estate market and what governments are doing to make sure that our economy is strong and they are supporting economically our residents of Canada, residents of Brampton, residents of Ontario, by both local, provincial government and federal government. And my vision is, in result, this will give us an opportunity to make sure and build confidence in our real estate market that when economy is stable, when economy is going to be stable in coming days with the help of this lot of money which government is uh, giving us and supporting the businesses, supporting individuals, supporting seniors, supporting indigenous families, this will in result of keeping up the economy going. So today I would like to introduce our local member of parliament, Ruby Sahota from Brampton North. Thank you very much, Ruby ji, for giving us time today. And once again, great community leader, a great community friend whose doors are always open for the community members anytime they need any help. So I'm going to bring Ruby ji on the screen and welcome Ruby ji. I think your mic is on mute.
Oh, yes, it is. Sorry about that. Thank you,
Okay.
Mansoor. I was just saying it's a pleasure to be amongst both of you today. I think we'll have a good conversation, and I'm looking forward to discussing some of the supports that the federal government has provided, being the Member of Parliament for Brampton North. If there are any questions that either of you are getting, I hopefully we can discuss some of those, because I'm sure a lot of the viewers have those very same questions.
Thank you. And I also have, would you like to explain some of the government plans and government support plans which federal government has announced recently to our viewers?
Yeah, absolutely. I think many of the viewers are probably most familiar with the CERB. That was the very first support plan that was rolled out, the first one that was announced, and the one that is most popularly subscribed to. So that is the $2,000 benefit that goes directly to individuals that have been affected by COVID-19, either from a health aspect or which has caused them then to lose their work, or through layoff or decrease in hours, so that their income has become less than $1,000. They all are eligible to apply for the $2,000 benefit. On top of that, I think what was long awaited and what many were waiting for is the loan program, the $40,000 loan program, and I'm sure our friend from CIBC can talk a little bit about that. There are going to be some changes to that program. So although hundreds of thousands of businesses have applied for the $40,000 CEBA, there were restrictions around that program of payroll from 20,000 to 1.5 million. That was required, and there were some businesses that were struggling to meet that requirement because they either showed their pay, they either took their pay through dividends or other means. And so we are working with the banks to increase the flexibility of that program. And I think we're going to see in the coming days, when that's all rolled out, even more people being able to receive that 40,000 so that it can keep them afloat during this time. And then the other very popular program is, of course, the student program, which was announced a while back, about $9 billion, sorry. Sometimes these numbers are too hard to understand for the average person, and I really am an average person as well. But yeah, $9 billion of supports to students. And that's not only in the area of an individual benefit of $1,250. $1,250, but also in the area of helping them get jobs throughout this summertime. So there's a whole bunch of different programs where you can get grants if you are volunteering. You can also, through the Canada Summer Jobs Program that we always have every year, that's been increased in flexibility. But there's also other programs that have been created to help in the areas of agriculture and seasonal work that is needed. And so we're hoping that in some regions of our country where that help is really needed and they don't have the support, that students will be able to fill in, especially in the areas of Atlantic Canada and our prairie provinces. The need is very great in order to secure our food supply. And then on top of that, there is the seniors benefit. That is a one-time payout to seniors. They will be receiving that soon. I know that just a couple of days ago, everyone received their May payment and they didn't see the increase in their May payment, but it's going to be a standalone payment. The bureaucrats are working very hard and they need some time in between each program to be able to roll it out and implement it. So you'll see a standalone payment of the 300 or the 500, depending on whether you receive OAS or OAS and GIS both. There's also some flexibility towards seniors' retirement savings plans as well that's been provided for withdrawals. And then last but not least, but I don't think I maybe even have covered all of them. There's been GST, there's been waiving of or deferrals of tax payments as well. And then I think the landlord-tenant issue is the hot issue right now. That was just rolled out last Monday. And that is in conjunction with our provinces, since they are the ones that have authority over landlord-tenant issues. And so this is assistance for commercial landlords, and wherein they can receive 75% of the rents that they collected on average. And so I'm hoping there's been a little bit of problems, and I've been hearing from a lot of tenants that their landlords are not interested in applying. But also we only hear from the negative perspective. We only usually hear from the people that are having problems. So I am waiting to hear from the finance department as to what numbers of people applied for this program. And hopefully, if we do have a fairly large number, we'll be able to see that there are a lot of landlords that are participating, or if we need to make some revisions to the program, which we have done in the past to many of the programs, we'll be able to assess how we can do that.
Thank you very much, Ruby. And also, would you like to add something about the government plans and support for the Indigenous families?
Pardon me, for Indigenous families?
For the Indigenous families, yes.
Yes, there have been. I mean, in just yesterday, there once again were rollouts of healthcare benefits in Indigenous areas. There are different supports for Indigenous students as well, and there are top-ups in those areas. So there's infrastructure work and really basic needs that are needed in on reserves, especially. We're trying to ramp that up and making sure that we don't end up having a healthcare crisis or outbreak in those areas, because it would be difficult to control if they don't have the proper services. So we're trying to address that issue right now through various different programs that have been rolled out.
Thank you. And also I was very much impressed that you remember all these topics which I have written down on my cheat sheet, that I'm going to discuss these topics, and you remember and memorize all of the topics and touch mostly for the people facing income loss. And you already discussed the senior support. There was another plan I heard about the youth and recent graduates.
Yeah, so recent graduates can also, I mean, there's so much. Honestly, you have to go to canada.ca. Even I would not do justice right now. I can pull out and start, but we would need an hour alone just to discuss all the youth programs right now, because there is an extensive plan for young people. There has been investments into research and those that are doing fellowships as well. There's been some investments there. For graduates that have graduated since December of 2019, they can also apply for the student benefit, the CESB. and that is the $1,250. But of course, if they have a dependent or a disability, they would receive the full $2,000, which is similar to the CERB. So that is some support even for recent graduates that are having a difficult time getting into the job market right now, because obviously we know many employers are shut down. But you probably have the numbers in front of you even more. So I think I've explained some things high level, but if you want to get into the nitty gritty, I'm happy to do that too.
No, I completely understand. In this short time, we won't be able to bring up every single numbers in details, and it's very difficult to memorize all those numbers by heart. I remember and also like to remind my viewers the next CERB payment period of 4 weeks will be starting on June 7th. And I always share these numbers at 1-800-959-2019 is one of the CRA number. The second number is 1-800-959-2041. Feel free to please call this. And I am always encouraging and very much happy and feel blessed to be in this country and be a resident and citizen of this great country in the world, that we are seeing the government support for everybody in this country, in the within the borders, and even the citizens who are outside the border of Canada. I recently heard that there are some
other
things. Yes.
There were a couple of things that I think are important that I did miss as we're starting to talk about reopening the economy as well. There's the wage subsidy program, which has been applied for through a lot of people, but through a lot of companies, but companies, organizations, employers that even have one employee are eligible for the wage subsidy program, where you would get 75% of the employees' wages paid for by the federal government. And so I think this program is going to become more popular, and those that have been laid off by employers can now be brought back and they can apply for this. And this has also been extended into August, because first this program was just up until June. So I think that's another program that's going to be useful as we talk about restarting this economy.
Great. And there were some other plans I personally heard, and you might have more information about bringing Canadians abroad, bringing them back to Canada, especially when we have international flights of majority of the countries are suspended.
Yeah, there has been a large repatriation effort that Canada has undertaken, along with many other countries, especially our Five Eyes allies. We've been working closely with them with daily briefings as to how they were repatriating some of their citizens. We had citizens in the same area in most instances, and so we worked together to do that. Most of that is starting to come to an end right now. It was in its peak during the months of March, April, May, but near the mid-May, it has really started to slow down as countries are starting to reopen, and some airlines are starting to reopen as well. It is going to take time for some of the airlines to get to full capacity, especially when it comes to some of their international trips. But through this program, we repatriated hundreds of thousands of Canadians. We heard the Prime Minister say in the early days of March that at any given time, there's about 3 million Canadians that are overseas. During that time, after that warning was provided that Canadians should come home, many did, but many were stuck in situations where there was martial rule or law applied in the countries that they were in, or there were lockdowns, very strict lockdown measures that were applied in those countries, and they were not able to safely get out at that time. And so for all of those countries, we had to negotiate with those countries in order to arrange for special flights which could bring Canadians home. Sometimes these negotiations were extremely difficult. Sometimes they were a little bit easier depending on what country or the distance that country was at. Distance, I think, was a key factor as well. That played a big role because we know that there are different rules that are applied when it comes to aviation standards for airline travel attendants and for pilots. And so when there is a stop required or when there is a certain amount of rest period required and certain countries have quarantine laws in place, it became very difficult to figure out how we would manage those flights unless there's exceptions made for the crews where they don't have to quarantine. And then there were also state imposed curfews in certain countries where it was difficult to get our citizens out of certain states or certain regions of those countries. So all in all, I would say the program has been very successful, but we still have some Canadians that are still struggling to get back home. But I will tell you this, that those that were most anxious right from the beginning, other than the few that are stuck in very regions that are hard to get to, the people that were most anxious and needed to come back immediately, majority of those I would say are home, but we do have some that have second homes in other countries, that are second guessing when they wanted to leave those countries. I'm still dealing with some of those situations, especially in Southeast Asia, with Pakistan, with India, with Nepal, where people are still unsure about whether they want to take the commercial options when they open up. And then they've been changing their mind as the lockdowns have been increasing in their countries. So we're trying to figure out how to still be able to bring some of those people home.
Great plans. And before I bring my other co-host on the screen, and he has some question might be the people are asking, and while he's joining us, would you like to give us some insight if you know that is there any plans about the immigration changes or immigration, more number of immigrants might be bringing to Canada, because new immigrants are one of our biggest stakes in economy strength?
No, actually, I have to say there are no plans to increase immigration levels at this time. We might actually be looking at slowing them down in certain areas. Of course, immigration right now is also working at a very low, decreased capacity because there are very many paper files that people submit. And so many of those workers are working remotely and only working on some of the online files. And what I've been told is their main focus right now has been temporary foreign workers, seasonal workers that work in agriculture. That is an area of grave concern if we want to make sure we maintain our food supply in Canada. And so that is the area that we've been focused on. And until we get Canadians back to work, and Canadians employed again, we're going to have to really be careful and rethink how quickly we restart some of the immigration. But of course, there's still family sponsorship, spousal sponsorship, all of that is going to carry on because we don't want to, we want to make sure families are together. But in terms of economic immigration, there's no big decisions that have been made yet. And right now things are really on hold. So there are no TRVs right now that are being granted. There are no new cases that are being taken on even for student visas. It is just those that received their student permits or their work permits prior to March 18th. Those are the ones that are still eligible to enter our borders, but anyone who's received anything post March 18th right now, those things are on hold. And it's also because, not just because of the economic aspect, but also the health aspect. We need to make sure that the flow into our country is monitored, regulated strictly. From talking to the GTAA, one of our largest airports, Pearson International in Canada, they used to have about 1,300 flights a day, and they're down to about 300 a day now. And so there has been a large decrease. They're saying there's a 98% decrease in passengers through the airport. And so that is causing them to struggle as well. So we have to figure out many things right now, and the tourism industry is obviously struggling quite a bit. And so those are all areas and sectors that we're looking at focusing on. And so as a government, in conclusion, I'd really like to say that we are now moving from a phase where we were looking at how to help give direct supports to companies and individuals, but now we are really moving on to another phase where we're looking at how do we stimulate the economy, how do we help certain sectors that may need government assistance at this time. So that is our true focus right now. All of the direct supports to individuals, most of those have all been announced.
Thank you very much once again for giving us your valuable time. And I see that there are individuals who are watching us live as well. Before I get into any question, I know that you have covered most of them already. So there are some of my friends are commenting that, the question they had in their mind, Ruby Sahota have already covered those questions anyway. So before I say thank you once again, would you mind to share your office for anyone who has any question, concern to contact? Is it okay to share your information?
Absolutely, it is okay. And that we have been working around the clock really since COVID-19, since March 13th, I guess I could say. That is when, for me, the world really seemed to change, and for many of us, although we were monitoring closely before too, that is when Parliament shut down temporarily. That is when, most of the schools, most of the workplaces, we started to see a big impact at that time. But even though we started to phase out our staff in our offices to come in, at different times so that we could social distance. But now our doors are closed, but our phone lines and our emails are constantly being checked. So even if you leave a voicemail, even over the weekend, it will be checked by Monday morning, and our phone lines are open during business hours. So please call. The number is 905-840-0505. And I think we will also, for walk-ins, we're trying to figure out how to phase that back in now and still protect the employees though. But we have also realized that sometimes it's just a force of habit that you want to come in, but we've been able to do meetings, online, just like we're doing this today. And we've been able to resolve a lot of issues over the phone and over email. So please don't hesitate. Our information is available online if you weren't able to catch it here today. And find out who your local MP is, because they will be able to advocate for you even better. So whoever your local MP or your MPP, your provincial member of parliament, depending on what the issue is, or your regional councillor or your city councillor, there's an easy way for at least federal members where you can just say, Google find my MP, put in your postal code, and you'll be able to know who your MP in your region is. And if you email them, let them know that you live in their riding, they will be very happy to get back to you and to assist you.
Thank you very much, Rubiji, and I'm confident, and I can assure all the viewers, anytime you contact her office, they will be available. They are always available and willing to help anyone who is looking for help. So thank you very much, Ruby Sahota ji, for giving us your very precious and valuable time and taking time out of your busy schedule. Thanks, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you. I appreciate you bringing me on. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Yes, Safar, once again, thank you also for keeping my Facebook back screen in touch and track. I see there was some question, and luckily the people who are asking questions, they were mostly covered. She was very knowledgeable. She has grip on all of the government support areas. Once again, I'll remind everybody who is watching that next government support, the CERB payment date is now coming on from June 7th to July 4th. I will share the number again, 1-800-959-2019 or 1-800-959-2041. And the office number, Ruby Sahota ji already shared, 905-840-0505. And I am again thankful to her for taking time out of her busy schedule. We know that in these positions, they have a lot of things on their plate. But on my request, she agreed to come and join my viewers on this session. Once again, Rubiji, I know you're off line right now, but through this message, me and my whole team appreciation is for you. Yes, Safar. So we were last week at and let me just also explain the reason I bring these political leadership to make sure people understand and listen directly from them what government supports are coming, and they are already on their way, and majority of the supports is already distributed, and people are getting those supports. These financial supports to keep the economy strong will impact our next coming days on our real estate market. And as I was talking to her prior to our live session as well, still there are properties being sold, properties are being listed. Yes, number of listed properties and sold properties is low because of the lockdown situation. The moment these situations are getting better, we are going to see the action happening again. So therefore, would you like to start from where we left last week? I know we are taking a little bit more time today, but we are still within our timelines.
Yeah, we had a great session. It was a great start, and I know it was longer than normal, but yes, if you can just, I'm just trying to disable the screen, please.
Yes. So you can explain while I'm setting this one that what would be our plan for next minutes or 10 minutes or whatever we have.
Next 10 minutes, we're just going to go through, again, first-time home buyer. We're taking one step at a time. We're taking baby steps so it helps people understand where we are with this. And sorry, one second. All right, so last week, last few weeks, we have been going over first-time home buyer program. And this week we were gonna start off with getting started. So we're at a point when you're ready to buy a home, what information is required to qualify for a mortgage. So gross annual income is, I believe we talked about it last week, but we'll go over it again. It's one of the most important part when we applying for mortgage. Your annual income, a lot of time, especially our entrepreneurs don't understand this part. When we're a lot of time when they tell us they're making $300,000 a year, but yet on income tax line 150, it's well below the requirement. So a rule of thumb we take is for you to qualify for a home. Let's say if you're looking to purchase a home for $500,000. The rule of thumb is we to qualify for a $500,000 home, which is normal nowadays. It's $100,000 income you need on line 150 on your taxes. So that's one of the lines that a lot of people don't understand why I filed my taxes. It was $300,000, but you only claim $30,000 or $50,000. It does not add up. Employment history. People who tend to change their jobs every 6 months or 3 months. Just make sure you keep your paperwork together. You want to make sure you have last 2 years of your income, whether your T4s are with you all the time for at least the past 2 years. Those are important documents. A lot of people tell me, okay, I lost it, I don't know where it is, or they left on bad term and they don't want to call back their employer and ask for their T4s. So, and guys, keep your document. Those documents are important documents. And when it comes on to job letter, something simple as job letter. I know right now with COVID, when we're asking for job letters, there's a lot of HRs are closed. But you still, you had your offer letter. We will still see that. We need to see those documents when it comes down to employment history. I'm not going to go into much because we already passed our time. So I'm just going to go into just a term and terminology, important finance terminology, terms. The terms of your mortgage represents the length of the contract. So, with the lender, and is only a portion of overall amortization period. So it's not, when we say term, 25 or 30 years. No, that's the amortization. We're just looking at terms. You want to go with 3 years, 5 years. So you decide how long you would like to borrow from a lender, whether it's CIBC or any other financial institution. Mortgage principal, the amount of money you borrow to buy your property. So that's the principal amount. Interest, the amount the mortgage lender charges you lending your money. The other one is amortization. So amortization and terms are two different wording and two different terms. So a lot of time people get confused with that. When we say terms, they're thinking about amortization. When we explain them about amortization, they're thinking about the terms. So amortization, the length of time it would take you to pay off the mortgage in full. If the interest rate remained consistent and payment were made strictly as scheduled, you work with your lender to determine an amortization that fit within your financial goals and situation. It's okay. A lot of time people are so rushed to, oh, I just want to pay off my mortgage. I just want to pay off your mortgage. Yes, everyone wants to pay off your mortgage, but it's the cheapest loan you can get. I don't think there's any other loan out there that's 2.9 or 2.5 or 2.45% interest rate. So I always let my client know that yes, pay off your mortgage, but instead of doing it, you can do it weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, but pay off your other loans first, your credit cards, your car loans, which are your credit cards are almost at 20%. So those are the terms that you need to understand when it comes down to your financial and your finances. Next week, understanding the mortgage options. We'll talk about the fixed rate, the variable rate, the close and open. So that will be it for next week. I did have some question from last week regarding fixed term, open and close. So we will discuss that next week in our segment. I think we're past our time right now. We are 10 minutes after. What do you think, sir?
Yeah, that's, we can explain what would be the topic next week. So next week, we are going to explain the detail about how this fixed, variable, close, and open rates work.
Yes.
So once again, thank you very much, all of my viewers who joined me. And I always appreciate you guys joining me live. And for those who were not able to join me live and they are going to be able to at least watch this recording posted on the Facebook. Thank you, Zafar, once again for your valuable time and your efforts and bringing the CIBC Bank perspective on these lending and mortgage and all those educational information for our viewers. So thank you very much. And all my viewers, once again, if you have any question, feel free to call me, Mansoor Mirza. You can visit my website, mansoormirza.com, or feel free to call me at 416-571-1163. As I mentioned all the time, my virtual office is open. I am available 7 days a week. Give me a call so we can set up a virtual video online meeting with your family to discuss your budget, your income, and you're planning how to proceed for purchasing your lifetime, I would say, investment. As I mentioned, tip of the day again is please do not jump in and go and sign up an agreement of purchase and sale without planning, without discussing your budget and your needs, how you're going to get. Signing an agreement, looking at a property is nothing big deal. You can go and see and sign up an agreement, but how you are going to get your mortgage approved, are you qualified? If not, what are other ways? What are your incomes? For example, some area we can have your child support added. Some lenders are able to accommodate your parents or your parents' pension added. So there are different options available.
Also, sorry, Mr. I'm cutting you off. Disability is the other option. People don't realize disability income. As a bank, we do consider that as your income. If you're on disability, we do take that as an income as well.
So my point is that, people are just signing agreements and just going out and thinking that, oh, well, I'll sign up an agreement and this house is going to be mine. Those people have seen, and I personally know many, so much stressful process if you are not planning ahead of time and if you are just jumping in that pool without consulting and without discussing. So I'm open, I'm available, call me, set up an appointment, we can discuss details and we can see where are you today. Are you ready today or you need some time to get ready? Whenever you are ready, that's the best time for you to buy your lifetime investment. Once again, thank you, Zafar, for your time, and thank you all the viewers, and thank you to our local member parliament of Brampton North, Ruby Sahota ji, for taking time out of her busy schedule and joining my session and joining my viewers. Thanks.
Right. Thanks, guys. Have a good day. We'll see you next week.